Welcome back to another video, guys, and today we're gonna be interviewing the forum legend, the forum mathematicians, Stevie's worst nightmare, the computer program, Dlich.
Oh, what's up? Hello, everybody.
All right, Dlich, welcome to the third episode for the interview of the best players and I guess players that have done a lot for the community. Let us begin with this interview. We have a bunch of questions to ask you. First question is from Puchuko. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your path to gaming, to the Walking Dead series, to the Walking Dead No Man's Land, to your guilds? Just tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I've always been a gamer. I started out with the original Nintendo system back in the late 80s, early 90s. Moved on to Sega Genesis, then to PlayStation in the late 90s. I had an original Xbox 360, now an Xbox One. Also have Nintendo Wii, which I passed along to my 6-year-old son, Dylan. And we have a Wii U, which we got this past Christmas. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Melinda, since October of 2011. I have 3 children. My oldest is Dylan, who was born in 2011. He turned 6 this past June. My youngest is our daughter, Fiona, who was born in 2014. She turns 3 in December. Our middle child, our son, Evan, not to start the interview off with such a grim topic, but when people ask me how many children I have, I have 3. So our middle son Evan, when we found out we were pregnant with him in July of 2013, and on our 5-month checkup, we were going to find out if we were having a boy or a girl. We discovered there was no heartbeat. My wife delivered him on Veterans Day, November 11th, 2013, and he was born still. So people ask me how many children I have. I have 3, 2 here on Earth and 1 in heaven. Regarding my path to No Man's Land, so for about 2 to 3 years, I played a game called Marvel War of Heroes. I made a lot of friends in that game and had multiple accounts. I would farm often. That allowed trading between each account. I was in many alliances, made a lot of friends in that game, and the game sunsetted, if anyone knows what that term means. Basically, one day they announced that in 2 months the game's ending, so pretty much you're done. So that happened in January of 2016. A lot of us, who played together were looking for a new game to play. We came over to the Walking Dead No Man's Land, which had only been around for a few months at that time. I think the game started in October of 2015. And, I started around January, February, just before, I guess, the Outpost came about in March. So, many players in our guild started out casually, but I realized very soon that I liked the game and wanted to be more competitive. So the guild that I had joined with players from the previous game, I actually wound up leaving, and that's, I'm in the guild I am now. I went from that guild to the guild I'm in now, and I've been with them ever since. I realized very early that trade goods would play a huge role in being able to advance in the game, and since at that time challenges were the main way to attain them, I knew I needed to make a move. So that's that.
All right. I do hope that next games doesn't announce in 2 months they're gonna end the game.
Yeah,
you know,
right. I hope not either.
it's gonna be a pretty bad for everyone, I
I've
guess.
never officially quit a game. A game has quit me.
Oh, right. Nice, nice. That's very nice. What is the meaning behind your name, Dlich? How is it pronounced?
Well, my name is pronounced just as you said, Dlich. As if you'd say the letter D, followed by the word lich, which sounds like, lich, Litch. The name itself is the first letter of my first name, which is Dominic, and the first 4 letters of my last name, which is Lichavari. Many of you, or some of you who may be on Facebook, probably know me from there as well. We do some guild games. We have some fun. The way this nickname came about was about 15 years ago in my early 20s. Some friends of mine that I worked with would partake in some recreational activities after work, and then we'd write and listen to music. I would say I've probably written close to 10 to 14 songs, and we've even recorded a few of them. So they gave me the nickname D-Lich, and it just kind of stuck ever since. So that's how Dlich came about.
Nice, nice. Uh, good, good, very good. Everyone has their own nickname online, you know.
Exactly.
Right, let's move on to a couple of short questions from the legendary moderator from the forum Zbot. First question: which forum member has had the greatest impact on your forum life?
All right. Well, there is so many to name. I'm not going to name them all because we do have a short amount of time for the interview. First, I would definitely say One Less Titan. His calculated creation of the WordPress site has been extremely helpful to me and to many others. One of the long retired people who I originally got my, I guess you would say, wanting to crunch the numbers alongside was some members may remember LMF Gunnut, Luke. I played with him in Dead Family 2 when he was around. He's another one that is very influential to my forum life. Terminates and her videos for the weekend events. Payne yourself as well. Your videos of upcoming news and these interviews definitely affects my forum life.
And my radio buddies.
Capybara for always making everyone laugh and off topic. Japes87 for statistical analysis when he played. Bill ZRT, who is the yin to my yang regarding statistical analysis. Some may get that joke, yin yang. I can name so many, but I know we don't have time for that. But one thing I have to say, not having enough time to name everybody, I definitely blame that on Guapo.
And what you forgot to say TCZ. I mean, he always posts information on the forums.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of fellow player wise. Of course, where would the forums be without those people? I mean, Stevie, Fear of a Bob Planet, TCZ, TCY, TCZ. I don't even know how we should ask him that question in his interview. How you pronounce
Don't worry, I would ask him plenty of times. Right, so nice. Which forum member / player has had the greatest impact on your No Man's Land game life?
Well, this one is one specific person, and I have to give credit with my No Man's Land gaming life to Slick Rick. When I was looking to leave the guild that I was previously in, to be more competitive, I put a thread out there in the guild forum section, telling people, I'm looking for a guild, and Slick Rick at the time, well, it's still, even if now, has a very good influence over the forums, even if he's not as active as he used to be. But at that time, we reached out to each other. I got a couple of people reached out to me, but primarily, as you know, I spent a lot of time on the forums. So I wanted to play in a guild with people who, were on the forums. So if I met them and I know them on there, then I know them in the game itself. So he had a huge influence, over me going into the guild I'm in now. So Walkabout 1, which is Lori, she's the guild leader. Baruto was in there, still in there. He comes in and out every now and again. Luke, LMF Gunnut was in there at the time as well, Slick Rick. So a lot of friends of mine who were on the forum all were in this one guild, and that's primarily why I decided to go with Dead Family. I'm in the Dead Family guild.
Mm-hmm. Nice story. Good. Which one do you use? Excel, Rapid Miner? There are a bunch of others I have never heard of, but I guess you might know them.
As much as I come off as a mathematical prodigy, at least that's the word I'm going to coin it as, on the forums, I have very moderate Excel spreadsheet knowledge. When you know how to use a formula like sum, you can literally just put data into a cell and have it read other cells. So I wouldn't say I'm an expert on it at all, but I use Excel. That's the one I use.
All right, Excel. Let it be Excel. All right. So, what is your favorite board game?
As funny as it sounds, as much as I hate RNG, random number generators, typically games that involve dice are actually my favorite types of games. So one that I really enjoy a lot, and I have some good memories of when I was younger, many people might not know of, is a game called Risk. That was one of my favorite games. Monopoly is also fun, although the table always wound up getting flipped at the end of the game anyway. I like backgammon. I mean, I don't know if chess counts as a board game, not really, but those are just a few
All right.
that I can think of off the top of my head.
All right, nice. What is your favorite place to play NML?
Definitely at home. On my home Wi-Fi, we have speeds of up to 200 megabytes per second, so I never have any issues connecting to the service. I love it. So it's definitely the best place to play. I got my little table set up next to me, so as long as I'm plugged into the charger, so my phone won't die. And one cool thing too is with our Wi-Fi service. We you can rename your router. I don't know if people know that. I assume everyone knows that, but I shouldn't assume. We actually renamed our Wi-Fi after our late son Evan, because just like the Wi-Fi signal, you can't see it, but it's there. So every day I connect to my Wi-Fi. So I like playing at home for that reason as well.
Oh.
I could just blankly say, anywhere that has Wi-Fi, but I prefer to be home on my own Wi-Fi.
All right. Yep. Nice. Do you dream of electric walkers?
Fortunately, I do not dream of walkers. There's way too many real-world things that I spend at night dreaming, or I guess nightmaring about. So, fortunately, I mean by fortunately, No Man's Land is not one of them.
All right. Fair enough. Let's move on to a couple of questions from Fraxy, another content creator from the forums. If you were in charge of next games, which direction would you take the game? Outpost, challenge, or story?
I definitely would go story mode. I feel like it's been pushed to the side for quite a while. I know Next Games has a lot of things on their plate, and the players want to be engaged more in story mode, so I would definitely go that route. Outposts, I mean, I'm not on the leaderboards, but I play a lot, so I like my level 22 and 21 walkers, survivors facing level 19 walkers, so I'm not going to complain on that at all. I think the challenge, I like Challenge 2.0. I definitely think it's more engaging than the previous one. There's things that hopefully, can get fixed in the future. But I think story mode has been pushed to the side for too long. It'd be nice to have some new stories, even if literally everyone gets a story mode, they beat it the first day, and then that's it. Then they say, I want more story modes. Well, you beat them all in one day. What are you going to
do? Story mode is nice, though. I kind of like the story of Angie and her baby, and that leader, was it his name? Vanzar, something like that?
It's been so long since I've been able to play him.
He reminds me of Negan, though, He reminds me of Negan.
Absolutely.
And to be honest, I think this episode came out last July 2016, before season 7 came out, so that was nice.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's been a year now. Maybe they want to do they wait for future, to wait for the baby to grow up or something. So, moving on, we have another question. If you could take 2 other forum members with you to survive in a zombie apocalypse, who would they be and why would you take them?
Trying to think of all the possible people I could take with me. It would probably be Bill ZRT and Terminates. I would need someone who can help formulate calculations on how to survive, and I would also need someone badass who can kill everything in sight. So, the best of both worlds. I get the brains. Not to say Terminates is not brains, but she would definitely be bronze. And not to say Bill isn't bronze. So, we all know who does what. So.
All right. So, nice. If you could put one forum member in jail, who would they be and why would you jail them?
Well, I'd put Fraxy in jail for asking all these questions.
Yeah, just jail him for a whole month without any food.
That's it.
Put him in the prison. Put him next to Rick or something like that.
we'll make him a ghost. Actually, I mean, personally, I think being a ghost
It's
is
scary.
probably worse
It's
than
quite
jail.
scary
You
though.
can't post nothing. But anyway.
Ghost is scary. All right, so uh, do you watch The Walking Dead?
I do watch The Walking Dead. I've been watching since day one. When my wife and I were first dating back in 2010, it was a must-watch every Sunday. My wife is very much into horror survival genre of entertainment, so it's nice when we were first dating, we'd go on dates, and the typical cliche is, well, for every horror movie that you get to see that the guy wants, you got to watch two, rom-coms that the woman wants to watch. That's how it is over here in the States anyway. But so with some of our dates, we got to see Resident Evil Afterlife, Let Me In, The Crazies, Insidious. So the TV show, when it came on, there was nothing on TV like it. And it's not just about killing zombies or walkers as they speak, because there's no term zombie in the Walking Dead universe. But it's nothing like anything else on TV, and I've been a Walking Dead head since day one.
Nice. Then, who's your favorite character then?
In the game, it's Abraham. My favorite survivor class is Assault. Anything that helps boost my range survivors is helpful. I also do a lot of trade good runs and outposts. So him, my other Assault named Dlich, I'll send you the photo for it, is my scout Dylan. Helped me do, TG runs in about a minute. So if we're talking about the game, it would be Abraham. But if we're talking about the show itself, then it's Daryl. I've been a Boondock Saints fan from way back. So when everyone was like, "Oh, Daryl," I'm like, "Yeah, he's a Boondock Saint, man." Not many players know that. So if you are listening to this or reading it and you're wondering what the Boondock Saints are, go watch it. They're good movies.
All right. Which past character from the show would you like to see as a new hero in the game, and what traits would you give them?
There are enough heroes. I do not want to see any more heroes in the game.
No, I don't agree.
But
put 10 more heroes in the next update, please. Please.
Well, I mean, if I had to choose one, I think I'd pick Andrea, however you pronounce it. She played such a huge role in the graphic novels, so I'd also be inclined to see any hero introduced. I don't care who they are, but as long as their ability is to increase the chance of radios dropping, I'd be very happy.
Oh yes, please bring a hero with a leader trait of increased radio dropping.
That's it.
Please.
You can name them whatever you want, just as long as they have an increased chance of radios dropping.
Maybe another special hero like Rufus or something like that.
Yeah, you make up somebody.
All right. Next question: have you read the Walking Dead comics?
Well, if you're referring to the graphic novels, then yes, I have. I've fallen behind on the most recent ones. I don't want to spoil anything in case someone listening hasn't read them, but I'm probably about 4 to 5 issues behind, if not more. So, yeah, I haven't got a chance to catch up.
All right, nice. What keeps you motivated to continue to play the game?
Absolutely, number one, hands down, would be the community. I enjoy coming to the forums each day to see what others have to say and to share my input. I buy unlimited gas about once a week, so there is a lot of downtime waiting for gas to accumulate. So that's what the forums are for. The game itself is great. I enjoy it. I love playing it. But with my previous game, one of the things I liked the most was the community type atmosphere. That's really what kind of keeps me, continuing to play. So it's not all the talking, it's, getting people's inputs and, sharing my thoughts, my spreadsheets. So, yeah, definitely the community is my favorite part about the game.
Nice. What's your favorite all-time film?
I got a lot. If I had to pick one, and I guess I'm gonna go in this genre of films because hands down I love horror movies. They're my favorite. The original Resident Evil. Some other good movies. I'm gonna name drop a bunch of movies here that people should definitely see. There was a movie that came out a couple years ago called It Follows.
Oh,
It's a
oh
very
yeah,
cool
I know that
concept of
one.
a horror film
I
genre.
know that one.
What's
I
that?
know that one.
That's a
Yeah,
good one,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Cabin in the Woods. I like that one. I
Paranormal
didn't expect
Activity.
it to happen. So, Night of the Living Dead,
Ah,
Evil Dead, Zombieland, Shaun of the
everything with
Dead, Dawn of the
zombies is
Dead.
fine.
Yeah, well, some other ones that aren't, Let Me In was another good
Wait,
one.
you forgot.
The
Oh, actually, we're
Purge.
talking about films. Yeah, that's fine. We're talking about films. I was gonna say Game of Thrones, but that's not a film. That's a TV.
Oh, yeah.
I thought about the White Walkers. We spoke about walkers. Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah.
Well, this is actually a pretty cool zombie movie. If people haven't seen it, I think we saw it on Netflix a couple years back. It's called Fido. It's actually it's cleverly I guess written. It's a clever story about zombies, but it's not like what you typically expect of like a zombie type movie. Pretty much any movie in the horror genre that's not a B movie. So
Nice.
like not Sharknado. That's a
Nice.
dumb movie.
So what is the scariest thing you've ever done?
Get married. No, seriously, I'm just joking. I I am afraid of heights. So going on roller coasters would have to be the scariest thing I've ever done. It's once I get the fear out of my head and I enjoy them, but it's the waiting online, the anticipation, the slow ride that goes up. I have a fear of heights.
Oh,
So
don't worry. Yeah.
roller coasters are thrilling.
I have
but
the same
yeah,
fear anyway, so
yeah.
that's one of the very few things I hate. Fear of heights.
Yeah.
It's it's scary. It's scary stuff.
I feel you.
It's scary stuff. What is your favorite drink?
Uh,
Alcohol.
Dr. Pepper. Yeah, well,
Just
I was going to be a little more specific on that part. Well, I guess it really depends on what time of the month it is. So,
oh,
if it's the beginning of the month when bills are being paid, Miller Lite domestic beer is probably in my budget. I'm sorry, that's at the end of the month. But if it's the beginning of the month, payday just came. Then it's Tanqueray gin. That's one of my favorites. But yeah, alcohol and soda. my whatever that word is. I can't think of the word. What's the vices? One of my vices.
all
I
right,
guess
all
you would
right.
say.
Nice. What are your hobbies?
Well, I enjoy playing chess. I don't know if that's really a
Yeah.
hobby. Gaming is definitely one of my hobbies. Playing this game, trying to get in some Xbox One time when my kids aren't playing it. Watching football, sports, if that you count that as a hobby, go Giants. So one other thing that I like to do, and my wife calls me a nerd for, is I don't know if many people are familiar with the term Mensa. I've been, I guess studying to become a member of Mensa. I feel like I could pass the test. So once you pass it, if you don't once you take it, if you don't get that pass, I guess you would say, then you can't take it again. So I think I might actually get the courage up to take it this year. But absolutely, with one of my hobbies is creating spreadsheets. I like to do that in my free time.
All right. If you had all the Lego bricks in the world, what would you build?
I would build a 6-foot tall statue of TCZ. This way I can have it in my room, on
So
my wall.
every time you hear the word coming soon or in due time, you cut off a piece of the
That's it.
body.
That's it. Yeah, that's the ongoing thing. So as we were setting up, as you and I were setting up for this interview today, I'm ready. All right, soon, soon. I'll be there soon.
Oh, in due time. Don't worry, it's coming.
Exactly, coming
Um,
soon.
right. First question is from David, one of the forum moderators. What is your favorite survivor class and why?
Well, my favorite survivor class is assault. Because they can attack multiple enemies at once. Being able to kill up to 15 walkers at once is very appealing. My favorite survivor is Dlich. He has Iron Skin, Lucky, Defensive Stance, Dodge, and Marksman. He's my oldest, longest assault. I had him before the level cap was lifted. Even though I would prefer to have ruthless over defensive stance,
So,
he could take a bunch of hits before getting bruised, which is definitely a key factor for me. Weapon traits, I have to definitely go widespread and piercing as two must-haves. Destructive, which is crit damage increase, is good as well for a third trait. Luck is also very important as well as lethal. So if I can get a weapon with any three of these five, I'm very happy.
nice.
Armor traits, I prefer Iron Skin, Dodge, and Ruthless. I'm not a heavy hitter in the challenges and typically stop once gold is required to continue playing. I'll spend 2 to 3 gold here and there for a bruise or something like that. But I'd rather just wait the time out to try again. I refuse to drop 60 gold because all 3 of my survivors were heavily injured, just so I can make a 1 star.
Yeah.
So an outpost stun resist is also very necessary.
Nice.
So
nice.
those are my traits.
So, question from the lost ones. Now, if you were allowed to briefly get access to next game's secret data for drop rates, etc., all the stuff we don't know but only speculate about, what piece of confidential information about the game would you prioritize to uncover? That's a deep question.
Hands down, Bodyshots. With the change to interrupt, which happened last year, Bodyshots play a huge role in this game now. So, players have realized that when you're +5 RSL compared to your survivors, the likeliness of a body shot greatly increases. Traits such as piercing were introduced to try to counter this, but in my opinion, interrupt on a ranged survivor is, it's too hit or miss to be reliable. So I'd like to see how luck, piercing, body shots, interrupt all work together. I'd like to know how a walker's level also plays into this. I'd like to know the exact odds of a +5 walker coming at me in Overwatch when my survivor has X amount of luck and gold piercing and gold interrupt. It is not, not being a body shot is actually interrupting them. So it seems interrupt just kind of stops working at a certain RSL, but I'd like to see the numbers behind how all of these things play together. So, because I honestly, and people may disagree, I hate interrupt on range. I find it extremely pointless, and some players may like it. I personally, I find it as a pointless trait. So I'd like to see how all the numbers come together, so to see if it actually is even useful at all. Period.
All right. Very important. I think one of the most important questions from Avengers. How long does it take you to type up your responses?
Well, if it involves an opinion, it's typically a few minutes. If it involves data checking or searching the form for something, it's usually much quicker. My spreadsheets typically take some time, primarily because I'm a perfectionist and want to make sure that the data appears aesthetically pleasing. I can type well over 60 words a minute, so my long-winded responses often don't take much time at all. It may seem like I've written a lot, but when it's 400 words, it's like 5 minutes. So,
all right,
not as long as you think.
All right, nice. Question from Jack: what bug or coding error or nerf or drop rate, etc., you would like to prove against NGs working as intended?
Well, the newest one seems to be the governor's trait. I haven't unlocked him myself due to personal reasons, but I am hearing many others aren't finding his trait working regarding equipment hardly ever. So I'd also like to see the odds of the 5th trait being defensive stance or vigilance. I get the feeling that certain traits have higher odds because they show up way too often when it comes to being the 5th. The 5th trait. I know, some players who you typically hear on the forums of people who get those traits as a 5th trait, but I've done it myself. I've upgraded an epic to legendary, and I would say it seems almost 50-50 that it's going to be defensive or vigilance compared to something else. So I feel like these two traits show up way too often as the 5th trait. That's just me.
All right. No, I think I agree with you actually. Defensive stance is quite a common trait, and I don't really like it. I hate this trait. It's so annoying. It appears everywhere. It's everywhere, this trait.
It seems like it. Yes.
All right. Question from week one: if you could change one thing about the game, what would it be and why?
If I could change something that's currently in the game, it would be to put interrupt back to the way it was, and to have luck stacked the way it used to as well. I personally think those are two of the. I mean, I'm just going to give my opinion, but I think that those are two of the biggest mistakes NG made with changing the way. It. I understand changes needed to be made to for other traits coming out and things like that, but um, I think interrupt and luck, especially luck, especially in, especially interrupt, both of them. Go back. I would change them back to the way they were.
All right. Change the interrupt. Nice, nice. I really like the way that I actually speak about interrupt so much because in the last interview, Puchuka spoke about wrestler, and I believe so. It's like people speaking about different traits being changed. I
Yeah,
kind of
different
like
things,
this.
absolutely.
uh,
I mean, wrestling, in my opinion, I mean, wrestling, for people who get to RSL 25, I'm sorry, 27, 28, 29, I can see how wrestling is. I've only made it to 27 once. My highest personal best is 1013, which I did on a assault week, and I really don't have never really come close to it since. So wrestler to me and my play style is kind of useless, but I know it's very important to a lot of top tier players. So
all right.
teach his own.
Nice. A question from the governor. Now that you know what you know from your continual data analysis, how would you change how you play the game when you first started?
Well, I started playing on Super Bowl Sunday in 2016, not the one where the Falcons blew a 25-point lead, the one prior to that. Yeah, I was near max level when Challenge 2.0 came around, so I wasn't really affected by the challenge, quote, star loss issue that many players might currently be affected by. If there's anything that I could go back and redo, it would be to not spend any radios on radio calls prior to the option of getting three for a 15 call. Besides getting to select from multiple options, I wouldn't have to retire survivors that would eventually have been able to be upgraded. When the ability to upgrade survivor levels, as well as the option to choose multiple survivors from a 15 radio call, came about, the Walking Dead No Man's Land, it was a very different change and for the better. So, looking back, I feel like, and again, it's in hindsight, and it was long ago, but I retired a lot of good traded epic survivors and spent a lot of radios. And I probably would have just saved them and used what I got from the game itself, and gone forward. So
All right.
that would be my change.
Yeah. Nice, nice. Question from RFG 1982. Do you think the leaderboards can be better used as a tool to engage players? Develop. Such a
Well, I mean, if the all-time leaderboards will always be filled with the only players who have been playing and spending since day one. Newer players will probably never know what it's like to be on them. I like the way the Outpost leaderboard resets every 2 weeks. I'm mostly a free-to-play player. I spend I would say every month I maybe buy 3 gas boosters and maybe 4 double XP boosters a year. And that's I only buy double XP boosters when there's a 5-second upgrade weekend. I don't spend gold on healing unless it's one or two for a bruise, as I mentioned earlier, here or there. I learned a long time ago that I will never be on the leaderboard, and I don't pay as much attention as some others do. It'd be nice if maybe Next Games did something like a 2-week span for top players, similar to the way that the outposts are, where like it kind of resets, I guess, every 2 weeks. Just so this way, you can be on, I guess, a leaderboard, because there's cycles with outposts. So maybe like do like a 2-week cycle for challenge stars. So this way you could pick up the game. Granted, probably people who are low level might not be on it, but someone decides to go all in for a 2-week span, they could temporarily be on a top leaderboard. Have it so that every Tuesday, like opposite, because like one Tuesday outpost cycle ends, the next Tuesday challenge cycle ends, something like that, and then give rewards. So if you scored more than 3,500 over the 2 week span, you get some type of reward. 3,000 to 3,500 gets a lesser reward. 2,500 to 3,000 gets some other reward. Something like that.
Oh yeah.
Something similar to Outpost, where it's a 2 week span. That might be more engaging because I know I'll never be on the leaderboard, and it's for two reasons. One, I never started playing when the game first came out, and two, I don't spend money like that on the game. So
I know.
that's it.
But yeah, it's I don't think new players in the game that start right now can ever be in the leaderboards the way it is. The way it
I
is.
don't think so either.
I feel
I
like
don't
they
think so
should
either.
do the reset is a good idea, and maybe all the stars they have until now they should still stay in their profile just for an achievement. But then maybe every
Absolutely, yeah.
time,
I mean, I don't want. I'm sorry.
every time, maybe when they reach no, maybe not 2000. I mean, yeah, every 2 weeks, every 14 days, or even every month, maybe let's say once a month, it gets reset,
Yeah.
and then you start from zero. However, all the stars you got from that month get added to your total, to your profile, and you can see maybe for previous months how well you scored from your personal profile.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the players who have worked hard to be on the all-time leaderboard. Like, I definitely think that the all-time leaderboard should still be something that exists. But I mean, as of doing this interview, there's a new, I guess, temp guild you would say that has caught people's attention, Maverick Conquer. So because I guess three guilds of top players came together to play in one guild, and they're literally on the top of this week leaderboard. So that's more or less something like that for individual players as opposed to just four guilds is what I think would be
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I mean, there is you can talk about this a lot. There's so many possibilities you can do with this one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Hopefully we see a change in the future. Hopefully we see a change. But yeah, right. That is how things are
Okay.
right now. We can't really change anything right now, obviously. But
Yeah.
yes. Another question from week one: what heroes do you play with most often, and do you have a favorite hero? I believe you said Abraham. Abraham
Well,
was your favorite hero.
yeah. I most often play with Abraham. He's legendary on mine. I also play with Maggie a lot, who's also legendary. Sasha is rare. She has a great trait, especially when you get to RSL 25, 26 and higher. Getting a body shot and turning it into a charge point can make the difference between dying and not dying. Dwight's also really good. He's epic on mine. Jesus, legendary. If I have to say what hero do I play with most often, I do run a lot of Tara Beach Life missions, especially when I get those uh, achievements or whatever that pop up for the gold. So I do play with her a lot, although not really in challenges or any kind of scavenger missions, or definitely not in outposts, but in story, especially when it comes to season 7, I play with her a lot. My favorite hero overall would be Abraham. As I mentioned, I prefer assaults over all the survivor types and use him the most, so he would easily be my favorite.
All right, yeah, he's my favorite as well. I love this guy. He's so strong. Best leader trait for now, I think.
I agree.
Right, final question we have left. What are your suggestions to make next games and the moderators to be more transparent and to better their communication with us, the users? Whew.
Well, as recently as the 2.7 sneak peek, which is already posted on the forum by Fear of a Bot Planet, it was great that you let us let players know in advance. Some players were fearful of accounts update coming about, so it was nice that he had mentioned that to us. Not to worry on that end of it. So every time the days or weeks before a release, TCZ will post what's changing, and then the forum asks 101 questions when the version isn't even live yet. I've been guilty of that myself. Then there's other times when they don't post anything prior to release, any information, and some players get upset that they didn't have a heads up as what will change and get the chance to ask questions. But either way, without fail, when a release comes, the admins and mods spend that day answering as many questions and responding to as many comments as possible. Mods, from my understanding, are player mods. So, such as Mad Puppy, David, H79, Zbot, to name a few. I don't believe they get paid for their positions, unlike some labeled as staff. I mean, again, I'm not going to assume that. I assume Stevie gets paid by Next Games. He's listed as staff. So anyway, in my previous game, there was no forum, so players communicated using the Line app with each other. But it was never, people were never in direct talks with staff of the game. So Next Games is very different in any gaming experience I've ever had, because they talk to us directly through the site. Granted, we may not always like the answers that they have to say, but I do respect that they communicate with us. But I absolutely do not envy the job of a mod or admin on the forum.
Yeah.
It's a tough job, I would assume.
Right. That is all the questions we have for this interview. At least we might do maybe more in future, but for now this is it. I do hope you guys did enjoy this another interview with another famous person from the forums. I hope maybe Dlich gave a bit of information about himself that you maybe didn't know, and maybe you were surprised to learn about. But yeah, Dlich, do you have any final words to say before we end the...
No, I hope. I definitely think this interview type is very nice. I appreciate letting me do the interview. I have a lot of fun. I have a lot of respect for players, and if I could say anything to the people who play the game and go to the forums and watch these interviews, just have fun. I see a lot of people get upset over things, and it's like a bad relationship. If you're not having any fun, then maybe just take a break or walk away or something. So I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but just remember that ultimately it is a game and it's meant to have fun. And I personally find looking at statistical data and making spreadsheets enjoyable. Not everyone does, but just remember that ultimately this is a game and it's meant to be fun. So just, if you're not having fun, then I don't know, just try to have fun.
Yeah, nice. All right, with this we're gonna be wrapping up the interview with Dlich. Yes, I hope you guys did enjoy this interview. And yeah, as always, I'll see you guys all on my next video.